Xin chào tất cả các bạn. Các bạn ơi, cô bé Louise luôn ao ước có được một đôi giày Ladida để trở thành một cô bé có tầm quan trọng và được sự chú ý của tất cả mọi người. Một điều mà bất kỳ cô bé gái nào cũng ao ước có được. Hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau đọc một cuốn sách có tên là Louise, the Big Cheese and the Ladida Shoes của tác giả Elise Primavera để cùng xem liệu Louise có thật sự cần đôi giày Ladida để trở thành một người quan trọng trong cuộc sống của cô bé không nhé. Nào, cùng bắt đầu thôi. Louise Cheese was a small girl who lived in a sleepy town, on a quiet street in a modest house. She longed for her mother to wear a sparkly pink dress like a glamorous movie star. She prayed for her father to get all decked out in a cape and a gold crown like a handsome prince in all the stories. But Mr. and Mrs. Cheese didn't give a fig about trying to look like anybody other than who they were. Louise, on the other hand, did. In fact, more than anything else in the world, Louise wanted to look like a big cheese. But it wasn't easy. Every morning, Louise got up and put on the same skirt with a stretched out elastic waist. Doobie skirt. Doobie as the day is long. She always put on the same little boring shirts and, worst of all, the same little brown laced school shoes with the sticky rubber soles that squeaked when she walked. Will you be quiet? Yeah, put a lid on it. Squeak, 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 squeak. Louise wished she had shiny patent leather pumps as black as licorice with sparkles on the toes like her big sister, Penelope, had. Can I borrow these for school tomorrow? Those patent leather pumps are only for Ladida occasions. What's a Ladida occasion? A special occasion. Oh, you mean like when I go to meet the Queen at the Buckingham Palace? I think that's Buckingham. Buckingham. It's a palace, isn't it? Because Louise was so little, she was not allowed to borrow Penelope's things. Out! And furthermore, you're not allowed to borrow my things. Squeak, squeak. Louise wished she could step into those black patent leather pumps with the sparkles on the toes and walk right out of her tiny room and into a palace to meet the Queen. Nice shoes! Thank you, Your Royal Ladidaness. Louise told her best friend, Fern, that she should get rid of her old glass-stained sneakers with a splotch of ketchup on the right foot. She should wish for black patent leather pumps with sparkles on the toes so that she could go to Paris and be in a fashion show. But don't you think we're too little to go to Paris and be in a fashion show? Dream big. That's my motto. And then Mrs. Cheese announced that she was taking her shopping for shoes, and Louise knew this was her big chance. She could already see herself walking to school in the black patent leather pumps with the sparkles on the toes. With shoes like that, Louise was sure that the other kids wouldn't think she lived in a mansion, wore gold underwear, and had 2 ponies in her backyard. With shoes like that, the other kids would think she was a big cheese. Louise marched into the store, asked the salesman where the la-di-da shoes were, went straight to where he pointed, and plucked them off the table. "We'll take these." Louise's mother held a pair of little brown laced shoes with sticky rubber soles. "Please, please!" "Those shoes are not for little girls, young lady." "No, these!" Louise called out, waving the patent leather ones. "You're too little for shoes like those," Mrs. G said. "You need something for every day." "I'll wear these every day," Louise said. "Don't you worry." She could not believe what she was seeing when her mother actually went right ahead and bought the little brown laced shoes with the sticky rubber soles anyway. You can't even wear them in bad weather. They are too la-di-da. You can never be too la-di-da. On the way home, Louise and Pee-wee sat in the back seat of the car. The brown laced shoes sat in a box with gray tissue the color of old gym socks. "These are worse than the last shoes." "Much worse." With shoes like these, nobody would ever think she had a mansion or wore gold underwear. There would be no ponies, only a lifetime of stinky brown shoes with sticky rubber soles that squeaked when she walked. "I'll probably never get invited to all the good parties." You probably have to be a hermit. What's a hermit? A hermit sits all alone in a crummy cave and eats worms. Most of them wear brown laced shoes. That night at dinner, Louise told her mother, her father, and Penelope that if she didn't get the la-di-da shoes, she would have to become a hermit. "We'll take our chances. I'll find you a perfect crummy cave." Pee-wee cried because he knew that he would have to be a hermit with Louise. Penelope was glad and said she would even help make curtains for Louise's crummy cave. Bon appetit. The next morning, Louise did not feel any better until she saw Fern skipping up the street for their walk to school. Maybe she and Fern could both be hermits. After all, Fern had been wearing a same glass-stained, ketchup-y sneakers since 2nd grade. But there was something different about Fern. Suddenly, Louise could see that the old beat-up sneakers were gone, and in their place were new black patent leather pumps with sparkles on the toes. "Do you want to try them on?" "No." "Don't you think they're pretty?" "They are totally impractical. They are too la-di-da." "I didn't think you could be too la-di-da." "Well, you can." Louise hoped that Fern would go back home and put on the sneakers with glass stands. But Fern did not do that. Fern felt good in the la-di-da shoes. In fact, Fern felt great. In fact, Fern felt like a big cheese. At 9 o'clock, she told the entire class about her weekend in Paris at a fashion show. You did not go to a fashion show in Paris. I did not just go, I was in. You were not. I was too. Girls, their teacher, Mrs. Little said. At 10 o'clock, Fern hugged all the yellow finger paints and made a big mess. It's for the Queen's crown. We met in Paris. You did not. I did too. Girls, girls, Mrs. Little said. At 11 o'clock, during recess, Fern made everybody play her new game, jump scotch, hop, baseball, which she said was all the rage in Paris. Too bad it's not even a game. It is too. It is not. Girls, 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 Mrs. Little scolded. It was a cupcake day, and because Fern was such a big cheese now, at 12 o'clock she ate 3. You ate my cupcake. So what? So buttons. Girls, 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 Mrs. Little said. What has gotten into you both? At 1 o'clock, Fern got up and left right in the middle of story time because it was a boring story. Hey, come back here. Why should I? At 2:30, Louise and Fern were both sitting in the corner because Mrs. Little had had quite enough of them both. There in the corner, Louise whispered to Fern, "This is all your fault for acting so big. You should talk." A half hour later, the bell rang and Mrs. Little excused the girls, but Fern didn't move. "Come on, Fern," Louise said. "Let's walk home. I've had enough of this day." But Fern still did not answer. Fern still did not move. She was staring at her feet. She was staring at her feet because 3 sparkles were missing from the right shoe and 5 from the left. Both heels were scuffed up and some of the patent leather was peeling off. There was a big blob of yellow paint on the left side and a big scratch on the right. "The la-di-da shoes are ruined," Louise said as sadly as she could, when in fact she felt happy. "Oh well, let's just walk home." "I can't walk home." "Why not?" "Because I can't walk." Fern showed Louise 2 blisters the size of a dime on each of her heels. "I know," Louise said. "We'll just trade shoes." Louise put on the patent leather pumps with what was left of the sparkles on the toes and noticed that they rubbed her heels too. Fern put on the little brown laced shoes and laughed because they squeaked when she walked as well. "I guess a little la-di-da goes a long way," Fern agreed as she limped home. Her stomach didn't feel so hot from all the cupcakes either. When it got to Fern's house, Louise helped her put a band-aid on each heel. Pee-wee arrived a minute later and made Fern a nice cup of hot tea for her stomach. Louise helped Fern put on some comfy socks and got her a pillow for her head. That's so much better. Just before they left, Pee-wee poked at the ruined Ladida shoes with his nose. Now, Fern will have to be a hermit too. I know, but as long as we're together, I don't think she'll mind. Squeak, 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 squeak. Outside, a single star appeared and sparkled in the twilight sky over the sleepy town on the quiet street. In her little brown laced shoes, Louise Cheese walked home with Pee-wee at her side. Cảm ơn các bạn đã lắng nghe câu chuyện lần này. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn lần sau. Chào tạm biệt. Cảm ơn các bạn đã lắng nghe. Mong rằng các bạn cảm thấy thú vị khi đọc cuốn sách này cùng tụi mình. Cuốn sách nói Read Along Book này được thực hiện bởi Lotus Community, là một dự án thư viện phi lợi nhuận. Lotus Community mong muốn những cuốn sách tiếng Anh chất lượng tốt có thể tới tay mọi gia đình khắp đất nước Việt Nam. Để tìm hiểu thêm về dự án, các bạn vui lòng ghé qua lotuscommunity.org.vn nhé.